So who are we going with next?
Let's go talk with a theist, John in Texas. He, him pronouns. It sounds like you may have some proof of the existence of God, John. Let's hear it. You're here with Jim Barrows and Secular Rarity.
Okay, I just want to say happy birthday to Matt, because I know today's his birthday, so I just want to do a shout out.
Matt's no longer with the show.
Yeah.
He's got his own show on Wednesday.
Oh, he's not?
Nope.
Yeah. It's not
Okay,
Jim or my birthday, but
Yeah.
that's okay. What you got for us? What's some proof here? We want to hear some proof.
Okay, so we just need to establish like some some parameters or like some ground that we both can establish that we agree on.
Okay. I like that.
Okay, so let me see. Our understanding of the universe. Do you believe that the universe is an enclosed or an open system?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think the current consensus is that it appears to be closed. We haven't found any white holes or any evidence that it's not, but we also can't see the entire universe, so there may be things out there we don't know about. So
Right.
the best I can do, me personally, is probably, maybe, but the science is still not super conclusive yet, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
All right,
kind of with
good,
Jim there.
Good. Okay, so we can agree that in reality we don't actually know things. We just kind of go based off of assumptions.
No,
you
I don't
agree
think
with
I
No.
don't think that's what we were
No,
saying.
we
Yeah.
don't go off assumptions. We go off the best evidence that we have at the time.
Right. The reason that Jim and I are saying we would lean on that side of it being a closed system is because there has been hypotheses that were tested that gave us conclusions, and we just kind of stacked those on each other, and a bunch of other really smart people, they looked at it and they were like, yeah, this all seems pretty good. But we just can't rule out the possibility that tomorrow we find something that may alter what we have. So again, Jim was just saying that currently it seems the best evidence we've got is to say probably closed, but we're not gonna like die on that hill for this. I don't know what an open or closed system for a universe would matter for when it came to God. So I don't know why that would be important.
the reason why it matters is because if the universe is an open system, then that means that implies infinity. That infinity.
How does that get you to God?
Well,
we don't know that it
infinite
actually
amount of-
implies infinity, because it could be a open system to just two systems, correct?
Right.
Or it could be three systems, or it could be an infinite number of systems. We don't know. So even if we thought it was an open system, let's say we found a white hole where energy was coming in as opposed to the exact opposite of a black hole, that wouldn't necessarily be even evidence of another universe, right? We don't know what the concept of outside the universe really is, and we don't know that anything would give us any kind of context to that. So it sounds to me like we're kind of jumping to a conclusion that we can't sustain, even with rampant speculation.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to say one last thing, and I don't know where this is going to go from here, because this is my last point that I had to make.
Mm-hmm.
Are you aware of any scientific theories that aren't based in assumptions?
So
none of them are based. What do you mean by assumption?
Yeah.
What do you mean by assumption?
I'm concerned you're
Pre-
equivocating on that word
preconceived notions.
assumption, but
Assumptions is preconceived notions.
right. So it sounds like what you're trying to get to is this understanding that we've had for a really, really long time, that it's like we kind of have to just accept logic. We don't really have the ability to like prove it in the same way that we do other things with logic, because we got to use the logic to. We also kind of have to accept that whole hard solipsism thing isn't real. Like I kind of just have to accept Jim sitting next to me and that there's an executive. He poked me. Now hey, I could be a brain in a vat and all of that shit. But we have to move on past that. Because you do just the same as I do. And where we're at right now is you have 5 assumptions that you're using, and I have 4 assumptions that I'm using. And I get all the same answers on the stuff where you're like, oh no, but add this God thing in there too. And so that's really where the issue is It's not necessarily assuming things, right, or having these preconceived notions, as you said. That's the problem. It's the problem when we just add on extra assumptions that don't give us any extra explanatory power.
Yeah, I feel like you just avoided everything I asked because I originally asked you.
So again, let's go back to assumption, because what secular rarity just went to were the laws of logic, and the assumptions that we have on that, and the assumption that if hard solipsism is true, right, those are the fundamental assumptions. So if you think that he didn't answer your question, then let's go back to what assumptions do you mean?
Okay, fine. He did indirectly. I was getting to reality being a subjective thing, and that we are actually pre-assuming or like drawing this assumption that reality is an objective experience. Like, yeah, that is the line I was going down.
That's hard solipsism.
Yeah, and again, we both are in the same sinking boat here.
Right.
We're both in the same. It's filling up with water, and we're screwed, John. You don't have a way to get past it, and neither do I. And the first one of us that figures this out probably is not going to be on YouTube. Let's just be real, right? It's going to be a paper of some kind that gets peer reviewed and so forth. But even without ever getting to that like super duper hardcore proof that other minds exist, it doesn't matter. Because we do have an effective method in the system that we're in right now. We seem very much to be in a world where other people exist. And if we just assume that that's not the case, we literally can't do anything. Mm-hmm. There's nothing that can happen from here on. So you and I have that exact same card, and then we've got the cards of logic together. And then the question is, do you add a card of God? Do you add a card of, panpsychism or whatever the hell, ghosts or whatever? And if that's the case, well, then you have more assumptions than I do. And so we should just cut out those extra ones.
My God is evident. God is evident.
What's your evidence?
God is evident?
What's your evidence?
Yeah, like God is infinite, God is self-forming, and God is conscious.
Those sound like claims and assumptions.
Those
sound
are claims.
Those sound like the things that you were just upset about a second ago. But the difference is when I said the assumptions,
God.
But when I said the assumptions that the two of us share, you were like, oh yeah, I also have those assumptions, SR, super cool. But see, then you just laid out like 4 or 5 that Jim and I don't share, that like all of these people in this awesome live studio don't share. And so I don't see the issue with those assumptions that every single one of us share, because we have to, it seems. The issue comes in when you say, oh no, God's freaking infinite. How do you show that?
You don't even, if you don't know what consciousness is, or
I feel like you just completely jumped from one thought to another.
Yeah, so let's go back to your claim that God is infinite. You
asked me how.
I asked you, how would you show God is infinite? And your response was, I don't think you understand what consciousness is. So I don't exactly know how that relates to the words that I said before. So we can try it one more time, which is, you said, hey, God is infinite. How would you show that? What would you do to show that? I'll take anything, honestly. I really don't know.
If you are unable to understand the concept of infinity and consciousness and self-forming, which are aspects of that God is.
Did I say that?
Yeah, you didn't say any of that.
I don't think
you didn't say anything.
Yes, you did. You were.
Please give us. How do you prove something is infinite?
Right. Just give us that.
Well, infinity
I don't know what consciousness
is a property that exists in reality, and when I point to it, you're like, no. I don't know.
We haven't said no. We've asked you to demonstrate that your God is infinite, to demonstrate the claim and provide evidence for the claim, and you haven't done that yet.
Okay, as far as we're aware of, we live in an open system. That's the point I was trying to get to, but that can be contested.
No, not only is it contested, it's not just contested, right? It's actually not supported by any evidence, which is why I was very, very weaselly with my words when I was mentioning it, right? There is some potential for white holes to exist. The math shows that it could, but we don't have any type of experimental evidence to back the math up. And whenever we don't have experimental evidence to back math up, the math is usually wrong because we don't understand something. And so we have to add things to the math to make it all work out. So You can't just make the claim that it's an open system without demonstrating it. Now you've stacked on another claim to what we've already asked you. One, we started asking you, can you prove your God is infinite? And then you stacked on another claim that the universe is an open system.
I pointed to infinity. I pointed to infinity. Like, as far as we're aware of, there has been...
Hold up. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure we're all following along, which is to prove that God is infinite, you pointed to infinity. Do you see how that might not exactly work super well? Right?
Kind of circular.
Almost a bit
circular.
Yeah, a bit circular.
If infinity is a thing that exists in reality, why can I not point to that as an aspect of God?
So again, what we're saying,
because you haven't proven God exists. Right. It's like, okay, I can point to the color black, and that's why zebras exist.
Right.
That's not how that works. Right. Just because black is a property of some fur doesn't mean that necessarily zebras do have it. And what indicates that zebras have it, we go look at a zebra and go, oh, look, black and white stripes. Oh, look, that's how we do it.
And infinity is more of a concept than it is
self-forming.
Pardon?
If I say the universe is self-forming, how are you going to argue with me by saying, no, God's not... This concept of consciousness and infinity and
no, the universe is the universe for some definition is self-forming. I would agree with, depending on how you wanted to define it, because the universe came into existence.
And it's conscious.
Also contains consciousness. Yes.
So it contains consciousness. So what? We're conscious. Yes. So what?
Self-forming. The universe is a self-forming conscious. Infinite.
Are you saying the entire universe is conscious, or it contains consciousness like all of us?
Like, we started off this call with you giving us guff because we accept the laws of logic, and now we're in this boat of saying that the entire cosmos is somehow freaking conscious and infinite. Like, this is the issue here. This is the issue here, John. Is you started this off by really trying to hammer home how we just have these unproven assumptions, and we've gone through like seven different topics now that all take years to parse through, and you just want to stack them on top of each other and just move past them as if we haven't had mathematicians talking about infinity for a long freaking time, man.
Right.
Like
you're the one acting like infinity doesn't exist.
Did I ever say that? Gosh, I'm gonna have to go back and watch this whole freaking video again just to make sure. I genuinely think I did not say that. If I did, look at this, John. Watch. It's a big move on my part. I'll just retract that statement, John. If you say I said infinity's not a thing, watch me. I retract that statement. So now we can just move on past that. I don't know why you're harping on this. You're the one that says the universe is conscious and God is infinite and haven't given us anything for that.
Right. Except claims.
Yeah. Whereas the laws of logic, we have some demonstration day after day. Sure, technically at the end of the day, they're an assumption. But if I've only got 3 and you've got 7, come on.
And those extra 4 don't get us any farther.
They don't explain.
They don't do anything for us because that's the biggest problem.
We're all working based off of assumptions. That's the problem.
I feel like we're at the point now where we've gone back to the original topic
and got nowhere. Anyway, give us a call back when you work on your logic a little bit better and actually have evidence of anything you've claimed.
Yeah.
And remember, stacking claims is not going to work.
No.
We're not going to let you do it. So come up with evidence.
Because you haven't, you just haven't explained anything.
Right.
You don't get to just add on something else and just say that it explains it just because you point to this concept of infinity or anything. Like, it's just that we're just not there.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.